This video is sponsored by AG1, the best nutritional drink with all the nutritional value. You will feel like a completely different person after drinking AG1. The best time I think to drink it is in the morning, mix it up, take it before you eat anything, and your day afterward is going to feel so much better. It's great for digestion. I know there's a lot of people these days that are having a problem with that, and this is a perfect drink to help you with that. I've been drinking this for a minute now, and it helps me sleep better, gives me so much more energy for the day. I usually like to take it before workouts. You will absolutely notice the differences after drinking AG1. It's very simple to mix up and drink. It takes you about a minute. Usually you want to just mix it up with 8 to 10 ounces of water, somewhere around there. And this honestly becomes such an easy routine. At this point, my day does not feel complete if I don't start it with AG1. It comes with the travel packs as well. Each pack is pretty much like the equivalent of 1 scoop, which is all you need daily. And it also comes with the liquid dietary supplement. It's vitamin D3 and vitamin K2. These are really good for bone health. It's great for your heart. And it's vital against blood clotting. It does so much for you, man. I haven't felt this good since I've been drinking AG1. And AG1 is giving you a free gift offer. Just click the link in the description to get 1 year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 travel packs free with your first purchase. So when you purchase for the first time, they're going to give you 1 year supply of vitamin D3, K2, as well as 5 travel packs for free on top of what you purchase. You can't put a price tag on your own health, and I'm telling you, it's so worth it. Amazing products here. What a card, man. UFC 291 was one of the best cards of the year. That was insane. There was only 2 decisions on the whole fight card. The co-main event, Jan Blachowicz versus Alex Pereira, and the Vergara versus Salvador fight. Those are the only 2 decisions on the whole card. The fight was in high altitude. Nobody was going to last that long. Everybody's eventually going to get finished. And also look at the fighters on the card. It was stacked with finishers throughout the whole thing. If I were to score this card out of 10, I would score it an easy 9.5 out of 10. This was such an amazing card, man. Exciting fights, crazy finishes. The crowd was amazing. I mean, they definitely should go back to Utah. We saw some fighters fight against the odds and pull ahead. Insane techniques we never expected from certain fighters. Derrick Lewis with the flying knee. Justin Gaethje getting a head kick knockout. Pereira showing better grappling. Bobby Green getting a submission over Tony Ferguson. Kevin Holland submitting Michael Chiesa. I mean, the kind of finishes that happened on this card were very unexpected. And let's start with that main event. Justin Gaethje knocks out Dustin Poirier 1 minute into the second round. This is a bit shocking. Gaethje has gotten so much better. The Gaethje coming into the fight as a big favorite. We all just thought, okay, Fiziev is just not that good, which was kind of taking credit away from Gaethje. Now with this win over Dustin Poirier, who is one of the greatest lightweights of all time, in the prime of his career, the truth of the matter is, Fiziev is absolutely elite. It's just that Gaethje is that good. Because Gaethje knocked out Poirier when he could not do the same thing against Fiziev. In fact, Fiziev was hurting Gaethje throughout that fight before he gassed out. And then Gaethje adjusted in the fight with the jabs and the uppercuts and stuff. With this one, he led Dustin Poirier into a head kick. I guess it wasn't on purpose, because he said it wasn't. He said it was just something he saw and he just threw it out there. He even said that it might have been a bit of luck that he caught Dustin with that kind of kick, but he did notice that he caught him in the first round twice. The setups with it, I guess, were not intentional, but they were perfect for the moment. Everything worked out so perfectly, it'd be hard to believe that all of it was coincidental. Because fighters go into fights without thinking too much. A lot of it's instincts. I'm pretty sure Gaethje was just instinctively leading one technique into another until eventually came to a final conclusion on knocking Poirier out cold, which is something that doesn't really happen for Dustin Poirier these days. Dustin has been shown for the last how many years to be one of the more durable fighters. But the thing is, if Gaethje head kicks anybody like that, no matter who they are, they're getting knocked out. The guy hits so hard. I mean, the leg kicking power that he generates would for sure translate into head kicks as well. And isn't it pretty funny? Gaethje caught Dustin Poirier with that same side combo right straight into a right high kick when Charles Oliveira did the same thing against Beneil Dariush, and that didn't happen that long ago. We know Leon did it against Usman. Usman is Gaethje's training partner. They probably trained for that, and in the meantime of that, Gaethje probably picked up that technique because he said he threw it against Fiziev as well. I think he used it against Tony, but I have to go check on that. So maybe he did pick it up from the Usman loss, but if he threw it against Tony, it's probably something he used before. I know he threw a head kick at Tony, I just don't remember if he set it up with the right before it. And Dustin Poirier's boxing approach really got to him. He had the same Philly shell defense on everything, and that seems to be a big hole. Like, there's not a lot of different kind of defenses he shows his opponent. I mean, that Philly shell is really working for his style. I mean, not many guys are able to catch him like that. But every single loss shows fighters new opportunities. So anybody else that fights Poirier is now going to see these holes as well. Like, you can imagine Fiziev throwing something like this against Dustin, or even Charles Oliveira. Fighters in the orthodox stance are able to find these right-sided combos on Dustin and potentially hurt him with those. But Dustin is an amazing fighter. He's a legend in the game, and he's also going to adjust. Just a fantastic win for Justin Gaethje, becoming the second BMF champion, a title he absolutely does deserve. But right now, he would be, the third best fighter in the lightweight division, behind Charles Oliveira, who finished him already, and of course, Islam Makhachev, the undisputed champion. And with that win, he has to get the winner of those two. If he were to have squeaked a decision or get a late stoppage on Dustin, maybe you do the rubber match between the two, but a second round knockout the way he did it, he deserves a title shot after that. Do I see him beating Oliveira or Islam? I don't see it. I think the Gaethje fight is still pretty scary for Oliveira, but I think ultimately both guys will submit him. Dustin didn't shoot any takedowns. Dustin didn't grapple at all, and that lack of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu from Gaethje is still there. And at the point of where he is, I don't see that changing for a long time. As for Dustin Poirier though, I think he should fight Rafael Fiziev. I think that should be the next fight for him. He needs to take some time off, but that seems like the logical next matchup. Both guys lost to Gaethje, so that seems like a good next matchup. Or maybe Dariush versus Poirier. That makes sense as well. You guys also see Conor tweeting that he would beat up Gaethje after that. First he's got to pass USADA, then he's got to pass Michael Chandler, who Gaethje already beat up. And then we go to the co-main event. Alex Pereira defeats Jan Blachowicz by a split decision. 2 29-28 for him, 1 29-28 for Jan Blachowicz. Jan thought he won the fight. I feel for the guy. He came out there, really went to get the win. But he gassed so fast. No one on this entire card gassed as fast as Jan Blachowicz did. He was fatiguing in the second round. Pereira looked pretty good, and that showed that the 185 weight cut took a toll on Pereira, because when he fought Adesanya the first time, he was starting to gas out a little bit in the mid-rounds. Against Jan Blachowicz at high altitude, he looked good the entire time. A little bit tiring in the third, but that is something to be expected. He's still a big guy regardless. Not cutting that much weight has only made Pereira a better fighter. And not only did he show better cardio in general, but he grappled for so much of that fight. Grappling cardio is different than striking cardio. The guy is a new grappler. He hasn't been doing it for that long. So going on the ground with Jan Blachowicz, a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, getting his back taken, getting taken down a couple times, defending takedowns up against the fence for so long, you would expect that Pereira would have gassed out before Blachowicz, but it was the other way around. Pereira, in fact, didn't really gas out much at all. Not just the high altitude, but another big reason as to why Blachowicz was gassing out was because of the body shots and also the leg kicks. There was a lot of body jabs from Alex Pereira the entire fight, and they were constantly poking holes into Blachowicz's gas tank. That is a huge reason as to why Blachowicz was gassing out in the fight. And credit to Alex Pereira for improving his wrestling, improving his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. It took Jan a very long time to take him to the ground for that first round. Pereira also defended 2 or 3 takedowns, which is crazy because Jan is one of the better grapplers of the light heavyweight division. And he was able to stop that guy's takedowns a few times. A bit of a scare with the back take. He gave his back up, which he did not need to do. I think he's going to watch the tape back and know not to do that ever again, because Blachowicz only got his back because Pereira gave it to him. Blachowicz doesn't usually pass the guard too easily, and it showed in the third round as well. Pereira was able to keep him in the guard and even outwork him from the bottom. That is very impressive. Outside of the grappling in the first round, Pereira's grappling skill was actually very impressive of where he's at right now. And I think in this fight with Yuri Prochazka, which seems to be the fight that's going to happen next, it's going to be hard to see Yuri win that. We do have to say though, Pereira's defense against those left hooks was not that great. Jan is very slow for a light heavyweight. He was much slower than Pereira, and he was able to get those left hooks around the guard routinely. Now, most of them were getting partially blocked, but that is a bit scary. That does give Yuri Prochazka openings and a bit of confidence that, Pereira may be one of the greatest kickboxers of all time, but he's still human. He still makes mistakes even in the stand-up. And isn't it crazy that not only is Pereira 3-1 against Adesanya, but he also just beat the other guy that beat him as well. And if he gets that light heavyweight title, it just further goes into this whole story that Pereira has won up on Adesanya. If he gets the belt, which Adesanya failed to do, if he beat Jan Blachowicz, which Adesanya failed to do, if he's up on the tally against Adesanya, that is so crazy, man. And honestly, I see him beating Yuri Prochazka, going down as probably the greatest combat sports athlete of all time, maybe even surpassing Henry Cejudo. The fact that this guy is doing all of this while only having 10 professional fights in MMA is mind-boggling. Jan Blachowicz has 3 times the experience in MMA, and he just lost to this guy. There's not a lot of fighters, even the elite of other combat sports, to come into MMA and have the success that Pereira has. A lot of people were sure that Blachowicz was going to out-wrestle this guy, hold him on the ground, and beat him like that, but it showed Jan's wrestling and jiu-jitsu was not enough. Imagine saying that. Imagine just hearing the words that Jan's grappling was not enough to beat Pereira. Now, as for Jan Blachowicz, I think he should get Alexander Rakic again. And then we go to Derrick Lewis knocking out Marcos Rogerio de Lima in 33 seconds into the fight with the most unexpected performance. I thought maybe he could catch him with a head kick, but a flying knee? I didn't expect Derrick Lewis to jump off the ground like that. Athletic Derrick Lewis is a new mythical fighter, coming out with 6-packs, didn't want anything to do with the altitude, finishing the fight as fast as possible by coming out there with a flying knee. He didn't prepare for that. He did train the switch knee for years, but wanted to throw some BS out there and hope it lands, and it did. A flying knee from Derrick Lewis. I never thought I would ever see Derrick Lewis come off the ground. And the man went flying, switch knee, not just a regular knee, a switch flying knee into the face of Marcos Rogerio de Lima, who absolutely did not expect it at all. He came forward, hands up, opening up the center. He was thinking that Derrick Lewis was going to bomb on him with some hands, and up came the flying knee, dropping him. I'm actually surprised that did not knock out Marcos out. Marcos is still in the fight, as much as you can be, rolling for positions, and then Derrick Lewis actually got the full mount. He did not allow Marcos Rogerio de Lima to get a leg, to reverse the position, attack a submission or something in order to stand up with that, because it did look like he was about to stand up when he turned his back after getting full mounted on, but then just got hammered away. The power just seemed to be a bit too much, not just from the knee itself, discombobulating Marcos Rogerio de Lima, but then the punches afterward, even blocking the shots. There's only so much impact you can take after your brain's already been rattled by getting hit by a 260 plus pound man over and over again. It's still going to get through, and we all know after a fight like that, Derrick Lewis is going to be hot. He's got to take his stuff off. I thought he was going to retire when he threw his gloves into the crowd. He's now a free agent, and hopefully he gets his money's worth, because after a knockout like that, the fastest, most exciting knockout of his entire career, it's a pretty good one to negotiate off, right? We all thought that he was going to be done. He was a big underdog going into the fight. Like I said in my prediction video, being an underdog against Marcos Rogerio de Lima like that didn't make sense, because he could end the fight at any moment. Both big heavyweights, both have knockout power. It should have been more to a pick'em, but now looking at it, Derrick Lewis probably should have been the favorite. And now he has, not even tied anymore, he has the most knockout wins in UFC history. And at this stage, if he's going to keep performing like that, where people think he's down and out, having consecutive losses, and then comes out with a knockout like that out of nowhere, let's just make a highlight reel for this guy. Don't give him like the top contenders. Let's see him just build up fights like this. Every time Derrick Lewis has a big knockout, it's just like its own show afterward. And I think that's the route they should go with Derrick Lewis. Not give him contenders, champions, people with title aspirations. Give him guys who are other knockout artists who will engage him on the feet like this, whether they're lower on the rankings, outside the rankings, whatever it is. With the new negotiations that's going to go on for Derrick Lewis, I think he's going to get paid regardless of who he fights. What a knockout win of a very exciting card for Derrick Lewis. And then we go to Bobby Green submitting Tony Ferguson at the end of the third round, 4 minutes and 54 seconds. There was only 6 seconds left, and Tony did not want to tap. That's the kind of dog that he is. He's never going to give up. He got put out cold by an arm triangle. That was so sad to see. Tony looked better than he did against Nate, but he was so outclassed. He rarely ever got his timing down. Outside of that one right jab when Bobby Green threw the leg kick, Tony just didn't look on point at all. He didn't have his range down, his timing wasn't down, he was missing so many of his shots, and he was pressuring without throwing strikes. That is just so unlike Tony Ferguson. We remember Tony when he put it on Anthony Pettis. There was pressure with a crazy amount of output. The guy was always known for his output, and in this fight, he was just like walking forward at Bobby Green. He wasn't throwing many shots compared to what he used to throw. He did shoot a double leg, which was very interesting. Looked like he was going to get Green to the ground. He tried to get the back, but bailed on any kind of wrestling after that. He didn't attempt any more. And coincidentally, Bobby Green had his hardest fight in that first round. The round that Tony shot the takedown. And I think if Tony shot more, he could have more success in the fight, but decided to strike with the better boxer. I think Tony Ferguson needs to retire. That's 6 losses in a row. We don't want to see the guy get hurt anymore. We don't want to see him get put unconscious again. And for Bobby Green, that is a great win over a big name. Has to feel good for Bobby Green. And I think he should fight Diego Ferreira next. And then another expected submission win. Kevin Holland submits Michael Chiesa in the first round, 2 minutes and 39 seconds. Is it just me, or did you guys think that Michael Chiesa looked terrified of Holland striking? I mean, Holland would just like faint, and Chiesa's like covering up like bombs are going off. I mean, I would be terrified of Holland striking, but I'm not a ranked welterweight fighter. And when Chiesa's takedown got stuffed, it looked like all of his confidence got drained from him. It looked like he had no idea what to do after that. Holland landed some good shots here and there, but nothing was too clean. Chiesa was just covering up from everything, and Holland made short work of him. He caught him a few times against the fence. Chiesa shot in a desperate takedown. Holland stuffed it again and went in for the Darce choke. Yet again, Michael Chiesa loses to a Darce choke. It's like I mentioned that Michael Chiesa has good offensive jiu-jitsu, but very poor defensive jiu-jitsu. He didn't get to show his offense too much. He never got the fight to the ground. And that's what I thought Chiesa was going to do. I thought Chiesa would be able to get the fight to the ground, and I didn't expect Holland to stuff the takedowns. But I guess in the welterweight division, these guys are having a harder time getting Holland down. That is the third loss by Darce choke for Michael Chiesa. He has 7 losses total. 3 of them are from Darce chokes. It's almost like Chael Sonnen with a triangle choke. I think half of Chael's losses were from triangles. And now Kevin Holland is saying that he wants to go up to 185. He has to stay at 170. These guys are not big and strong enough to hold Holland down, but the middleweights are. I mean, imagine what Bo Nickel would do to him. Imagine what Robert Whittaker would do. Imagine what some of these better wrestlers, Derrick Brunson, again, you know. I know cutting weight is not fun, but he's just so much of a better fighter at welterweight, and there's probably even bigger fights for him down there. You have many more guys there that would promote the fight and make it more entertaining. He had a big chance against Hamza and got ragdolled. So I want to see him at 170 still. He's going to be ranked at 170 as well. Why would he go up to 185 after? Unless he just doesn't care, because Michael Chiesa is number 12. And he just got handled by Kevin Holland. So I think Kevin Holland versus maybe Jack Della Maddalena makes sense, because Jack had a very tough fight in his last one. And as for Michael Chiesa, maybe him get Ian Gary. And then we go to Gabriel Bonfim submitting Trevin Giles in the first round, 1 minute and 13 seconds into the round. The guy's guillotine is so nasty. The amount of confidence that this guy has to jump a guillotine like that is crazy, especially at high altitude. Imagine if it went south. Imagine if Giles got out of the guillotine, sat on top of Bonfim for the rest of the round, and Bonfim comes out in the second gassed. It could have went very wrong for Bonfim, but his guillotine is just that good. He came out there jittery again with the boxing. He's just throwing wild hooks and really not pacing himself at all. I think it has something to do with him being so young. He is 25 years old. He's still undefeated, so he hasn't tasted that loss yet. But hopefully in his next one, he's a little bit more patient. Trevin Giles is a good opponent. That was a big step up in competition for him. And that's like a win over a guy who's not too far outside the top 15. He called out Neil Magny, and I like it. I know it's another good grappler for Magny, but that's how it goes sometimes with these older guys that have been around for a while. What about Roman Kopylov getting the high kick knockout? Before Gaethje got it, he landed it on Claudio Ribeiro, flush out of nowhere, clean to the face, puts him out. That's the kind of performance you want to see from Roman Kopylov. Jake Matthews getting the rear naked choke against Darius Flowers. There are times where Jake Matthews looks like a world beater, and then there are times where he just does not at all. He's been around for a long time, and I think before he calls it quits, he's going to make it somewhere. He is a promising talent. His striking has improved leaps and bounds, and his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu still holds to be very high level. What about Uros Medic getting that spinning back fist knockout on Matthew Semmelsberger? Medic looked like he was confident throughout the whole thing. Semmelsberger was having a hard time of finding his timing in moments. Medic looked amazing out there. Just an overall insane card, man. If you guys have not seen it, I highly recommend you guys watching it from beginning to end too. I mean, the first fight, even Maverick getting that submission win over Priscilla Cachoeira, the whole card was definitely worth it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to give this a thumbs up. Enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.